What if Gohan hit his head part 2, right? And so we're gonna have to hit this bad boy a little bit different, right? Because your boy Gohan's on demon time, right? He already trying to get active, right? He trying to be that guy. So what happened is him and Raditz decided to make a deal, and he decided to do him a favor once Raditz realized he was stronger than him. So most of that stuff that they did was an act. They did actually fight. Gohan didn't OD beat him, but I was speaking from the POV of what Vegeta and Nappa thought was happening. Raditz gave Gohan, covering his scouter and stuff, putting that bitch back, gave him the rundown and stuff like that. So they only leaked certain bits of information. And since Piccolo's energy signal went away, they'll talk about, how, they gotta find this planet, they gotta find Planet Namek, this and that. But that won't just happen just yet, right? Even though I know the story was built up just to have Frieza pull up out of nowhere, I'm just gonna say that it takes some more time to find Planet Namek for the Frieza Force than it did originally, for the Dragon Balls. But during this time, this is where the story and this is where the shit gets actually interesting. What ended up happening is Gohan flies off and some time passes, and we're not gonna worry about Earth just yet, okay? We're gonna talk about Gohan, right? Gohan eventually meets up on like a planet in between or whatever. Meets up with Vegeta, meets up with Nappa, and Raditz and them, they pull up, and we'll just say this is one of those random Frieza planets. And Raditz heals up, gets some new armor and stuff like that. And he's like, alright, I'm back. And he's got his Zenkappos. A pretty decent one at that. So what ended up happening is Nappa and Vegeta are like, I can't believe that Brat was able to beat you, blah, blah, blah. And then Vegeta starts talking about saying this, and that. And then they go over through the whole plan. And he tells them, like, yeah, I know who Frieza is. I'm going to help you. He does it like in a cocky manner. I'll be the one to help you defeat Frieza. And Vegeta's like, you must not know how terrifying Frieza is. Like on some shit like that, right? You must not know how terrifying Frieza is. Despite me hating to admit it, his power is leagues above my own. He said, oh, that's just because you don't know how to train. It's the way you're moving and walking around. It seems like you never trained a day in your life and you think strength is all and everything can be. Well, that's where you're wrong, Prince. Of all the Saiyans, I can show you something. He said, if I really wanted to, he's bluffing. If I really wanted to, I could easily kill you right here and right now with no problem. He said, how, Brat, your power level, as he puts the scouter back on and stuff, but he's turning off the comms from it. He reads the kid's power level and he's like, your power level's only, and I'll say you'll have it at what Raditz's power level was, so like 1,200, somewhere around there. He's like, your power level's not even strong enough to deal with a Cyberman, let alone deal with me. But if you're so confident, I'll let you deal with Nappa. And then, Raditz during the journey would have probably told him about healing pods and stuff. And he's like, so I have a question. How good are those healing pods? Can it deal with if someone's head is ripped off from their body? He said, no, not necessarily, but they would be able to deal with, broken limbs and like other, basically it'll be able to fix a lot of stuff, but not that. So what ended up happening is we'll have it to where Raditz and Gohan, not Raditz, Nappa and Raditz end up fighting, and he's like, alright, bet. I'll end this before the fight even starts. I said I'll end this pretty soon here. He charges up a singular ki blast and says this right here will end the fight. He knows about the Great Ape and he has to tell. But what he does is he fakes him out, right? He said this blast will be the beginning of your end. He shoots the blast up and Nappa's like, what are you planning at, kid? Right, Nappa internally is thinking like, this kid, he can't be trying to do an artificial moon. Unless Raditz taught him and he looks at him and Raditz just shakes his head no, cockily smiling, knowing what this kid's about to do. And then he blows it up and it makes like a light, blinding light. And Nappa's like, my eyes, my eyes. And then all you hear is Destructo Disc. And then not Raditz. I keep doing this. Bear with your boy. Nappa ends up getting cut in two, and before he fully bleeds out or whatever, he gets put into a healing pod, or we'll do one better where he gets his arm cut off, and then by the time Nappa eyesight comes to, he just knee to him right in the face with all his might, not all of it, but like with a good chunk of his might, and he falls straight down to the ground. And then he gets healing and stuff like that. And then a few moments later, Vegeta's like, well, that was an impressive trick, but don't think that'll work on me. He's like, oh, please. I can actually finally go all out. What Gohan's been doing is he's been utilizing training, and he's also discovered Zenkai boosters. So training, getting zapped a couple times, and so forth and so forth. So he's always, on average, fighting way below his typical threshold of actual power. So he knows how to train better, and he also understands that Zenkais are a thing. So with this being said, and him also getting a Zenkai, I'm gonna say I don't really use power levels too much on some of my what-ifs, because I'm not going for the power to make sense per se. I'm just going more for the storyline. But I could say that he might be relative, like at max power. I'll say he might be around the 7,000 mark, give or take. I feel like that would work. In theory, every year he gains 1,000 in power, even though this isn't like true scaling. But every year he gains about 1,000 or so in power. He's a fast learner. He has insane potential. I'm really thinking this is more of a low ball without like going with actual stuff with it. But also what gives him, I'll say 7 to 10,000, because of him embracing insane nature, him enjoying battle. So he's applying all his smarts to fighting and stuff of that nature. So I'll feel like that's where it kind of goes in for the justification. So, he powers up. Raditz is on the scouter, but he's on like a different model to where it's not, the comms are not going through. And he's like, this brat's power is fluctuating from 7 to 10,000. What? And he's like, he's powering up, and he's like, I'm letting it all go. Clean 10,000. And Vegeta's like, I'll show you a wall that you can't hope to. What is it? I'll show you a wall that you can't hope to ever climb over, or some shit like that. The fight begins. They blast off each other. Me. Good hands. Vegeta's just just kind of toying with him a little bit. Now, in original Vegeta, if they were just throw hands, yes, Vegeta would just smack him. But if we're saying he's relative to his power, what we're gonna do here, Gohan technically does have battle experience. He fought Piccolo, and for the first few times, Piccolo was low-key trying to kill him. He wasn't going all out, but he was definitely trying to kill him. So he has real battle experience on top of Goku talking about his adventures. Piccolo has some knowledge on that just because. And talking about this, and also going around and talking to Krillin and asking Krillin about some of his, adventures. He even went to Master Roshi to learn a little bit of some. And Roshi probably would have had a light remark of that boy is stronger than he lets on. But no matter. That ain't none of my business. And then proceed to go watch some bitches doing yoga or some nut shit, And so we would have it to where we go back to the fight. Them throwing the good hands. Me. Good hands. Weave. Meet. Block. Masenko. Big. Ka. Me. Wait for it. Vegeta pounces. deflects, zoom, pulls up, about to hit him, after image, got him, meek, start hitting him with a couple of blows, boom, flies away. As he's shooting a whole bunch of key blasting, but he's like doing it diagonally, just rapid fire, beep. And Vegeta's just He's like, if that's all you got, boy, you're as Gohan is literally just right here on him, punches him, grabs him like he punch, grab, headbutt, kicks. He like gets his like tiny little body and just kicks him. Flies down, pew, and he just starts focusing all his energy into like a tiny ball. He's like, I made this one up. All out, everything, and he just shoots like this giant, massive blade, blast, and he got hit with that and took some solid damage. Now, take a note, all right? When apparently, which don't hold me to this, but when using Kamehamehas and ki-based attacks, most of the time it gives you approximately a 1.5 or 2 times multiplier. If Gohan's at 10,000 and he uses a 1.5 multiplier, that's gonna set him at 15, right? 15,000. But if he uses a blast and it has a 2-time multiplier, that's gonna put him at a crispy 20,000. That's stronger than Vegeta because he's at like an 18,000. He was training with Piccolo, and he likes to battle, and he's smart. Give it a second. So, shoots that giant blast. Vegeta can't, fight it, so he's like, fuck it, bro. And he's losing his cool just a little bit. So he's like, Gallad, gun! Bam! It's a little bit of a beam struggle. Gohan's like, this is a battle! This is his battle boost. So that's probably gonna be like a 1.5 just off rip. So maybe it's a 3 times, all right? Loose with the numbers, just trying to justify it. So we have it to where your boy is pushing Vegeta back and he gets God smacked. Bam! Big explosion. Vegeta plops down. He's still good though. He plops down. He's like, God, son of a bitch. And Gohan's just sitting in there, and he's just charging his ki up. What he learned was when he was studying and looking at the fundamentals of the special beam cannon and stuff like that, right? He learned something. It's not the fact that the move itself is hard, it's just the fact that most people don't take the time out to understand how ki works. And so what Gohan decides to do is he starts to learn how to focus and utilize his ki. This is also one of the reasons why he wanted to go to Master Roshi's, right? Because he's thinking to himself, right? If I'm able to utilize my ki a lot more efficiently and a lot more smoothly, so instead of letting my ki go out everywhere and let it just go wild, what if I keep it more contained and keep it more focused and more precise? Thus, when it comes to me actually charging my ki and me actually using moves that involve like, high condensities of ki and stuff like that, it won't be as hard. Because if I'm doing a special beam cannon, my energy's typically out everywhere. I gotta focus all my ki into one spot. What if I constantly keep focusing my ki in me, right? The majority of the time, this will allow me to, when I do need to do a move, I can reduce the charge time by a considerable amount. And this is where things get good. And as he's done doing this, which he's got to constantly keep doing it because he's still inexperienced in this theory of him, but it's almost like spirit control or like an off-brand spirit control without knowing. So what he does, right, is he is controlling this and he's getting it like basically ready. It's basically him increasing his overall capabilities. And it's kind of like what Krillin did back in Super. So what he ended up doing now is he's talking to Vegeta and he's like, Vegeta, that's your problem. You get overzealous, you can get over-eager, or you're too confident in your capabilities. You know about Frieza, you know how strong Frieza is. I'd never met him, so I'm pretty sure his power is overwhelming. But with power and technique, you make it, as he's doing this, and he's getting the motions ready, like he's getting it ready. You may consider it weak or cheap or whatever the case may be, but think about it. In a fight to the death, as he puts his hands out, in a fight to the death, the winner decides who wins. Or the winner gets to make the history. It'd be some shit like that, right? And he says, oh, and by the way, I win. And Vegeta's like, wait, what? He like speed blitz Vegeta. It was really not speed blitz, more just caught him off guard. Vegeta quick with it. He's like, hey, don't think you're gonna get me with that. He like shoots a Ki Blast and Ki Blast goes right through the kid. And he's like, wait, what? He's like, as I said, with Gohan touching his back, Mako Senpo. I think I said it right. I think I did. And he just blasts the special beam cannon right at him, just drilling a hole. And Raditz makes a remark like, damn, imagine dying to something like that. Ugh, that looks like it would kill. And so Vegeta just got impaled and he's falls straight down, bleeding out. Whoa, wait. He's so lost. He's so confused. Like, ain't no fucking way. Ain't no way. And then Gohan just plops down looking at him, grabs him by the noggin. It's like, hey, this is what I wanted to show you. We can defeat Frieza, but we gotta use our fucking head. We can't just go at it like some dumbasses. We might need to play the long game, but don't worry. I've already set some plans in motion. As he just looks at him and says, oh yeah, and by the way, fix that unjustified cocky attitude. If you were gonna become a Super Saiyan, you would have done it long ago. As he tosses Vegeta to Raditz, and he's like, heal him up. We got work to do. And that is where we'll pan off to some time later, or about like half a month later, and we'll pan back over to Earth and stuff, right? Goku and Piccolo, they're training. Goku, Piccolo training, and Yamcha T and all of them, they're training and stuff because they're like, all right, we got to figure out what we could do. You know, what if he comes back? Blah blah blah. And then we'll say that Goku even considers using the Spirit Room in time just to get stronger because of how strong Raditz was. And I'll say him and Piccolo go in there, but they don't last that long. They go in there for a little bit, but they go ahead and come out because that shit's like a little too hard for them, right? Even though I don't think that really would be the case in a realistic what if, but I digress. So, meet, good hands, and they just continue their regular training. And then Goku does get an idea. The gravity was like a lot stronger than it is on Earth. Gravity ship is built, but not the ship itself, but just like an area where gravity is effective. So everyone's utilizing this training and everyone's training. They even asked, he asks, hey, is there any other type of training that I can go do or whatever to get stronger? And he's like, yeah, but only those of pure heart, blah, 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 can go to King Kai's, and that's where this plot point gets introduced. A little bit earlier than it did originally, because I'm not earlier, but at a different point in time. So what ended up happening is Goku ends up going over and learning about the Kaioken and the Spirit Bomb, and then comes back, which I'm pretty sure wouldn't take that long. With Goku being much stronger after that 6 months of training, hard training, because he needs to get his kid back, he's like, all right, cool. He's a lot faster and a lot stronger, so I'm pretty sure he just flies all the way through. Does his training, comes back, teaches everyone the Kaioken, so everyone knows how to do it. Meanwhile, while that is going on, Gohan and Vegeta basically saying they're destroying planets and stuff like that, and Gohan is keeping tabs on, the look of this planet and, stuff like that, while also saying, and he throws out hints to Frieza, but he doesn't like just directly say it. He's like, hey, Frieza. He's like, Lord Frieza. He's like, what? He's like, what is it? Nah, I think it'd be like, speak. Permission to speak. Granted. Do you need any help searching for the planet known as Namek? I'm pretty sure with these wish orbs, we have them on my home planet. We have that on my home planet. They'll be able to grant any wish, but I seem to, or he'll be like, basically, when my Uncle Raditz came to pick me up and get me off that wasted of a rock before destroying it, we come to the conclusion that after that, the Dragon Balls become inert depending on whoever the Namekian is that is in charge of that. So we've learned that information. Have you had any good luck searching for it? You know, basically he's ass kissing a little bit, but he's like, have you had any information on that? And he's like, no, not at all. And then he asks another question. Would there be any way that I can join your elite force, the Ginyu Force? I've heard much about their travels and voyage, and I would like to meet them personally and train with them. And Frieza's like, oh, really now? But what about the little prince and your uncle? And what was his name? Rappa? No, Nappa, your lord. Yes, what about them? Wouldn't you be abandoning them? Quinchel not. More strength and more power is all that I'm concerned about. As he's like, you know, holding his head down, bound. I just want to make sure that I get strong enough to make sure that I can help you with your endeavors of conquering that planet. They will know the name Lord Frieza. And he's like, oh. Vegeta should take a page out of your book. But don't think that I'm not aware of your full intentions. As Gohan heart sinks, because he knows how strong Frieza is. And he can't take Frieza on no matter what type of cheat tactic that he deploys. So he's like, as he's looking down, sweating, as Frieza's like kind of just like flying around, don't think I don't know what your true intentions are. And he's like, what? Did my power slip? And he's ready, bro. He's like, if I gotta get out of here, I gotta get out of here. You're trying to, and then heart pumping, bum, just panic. It soothes all of it, bro. You're trying to get a leg up on the prince, aren't you? How did you know? I see the way y'all two interact. You don't like his snarky, arrogant attitude, do you? He says, no, not at all. And she's like, very well then. They may have to whip you in shape, but I'll keep it in mind. How about this? You conquer a couple more planets for me, and I'll consider that. And Gohan, with a grin on his face, just... very well. How does 10 planets sound? And Frieza's like, well, if you can do that, and he has to keep his power level at like a solid, I'll say maybe 12,000, 15,000 for the most part. Because if he doesn't and he's beating planets that are above that, it's a little questionable. Or we could say that his power levels are like at 1,000 and he uses his Great Ape transformation to make up the difference. Doesn't matter, but it has to be at something that Frieza can see, because if he's taking planets that are known to have a power level of 5,000 and he only has 1,000, or he has his power level at 1, it's gonna be like, I'm watching you, boy. Like it's gonna be one of those situations, right? So after this part happens, Gohan proceeds to start annihilating planets. And what he does is, he is enjoying the battle, but if he's not fighting someone that doesn't want to fight or he doesn't need to fight, he just keeps it simple. And he goes on these missions alone, per se. All he does is, before they're actually set out to go, he goes to each planet and says, hey, listen to me. Y'all got a choice. Y'all can leave this planet, or I can fuck y'all up. And if y'all come back, I will personally fuck y'all up. Now, if he does get caught, his justification for this was he wanted to make sure this planet was in pristine condition for Lord Frieza, to make sure that none of these monkeys got out of control and destroyed the planet or overdid it. This is kind of the justifications for it, right? So he does this, the planet's pretty much easy to go, and they're able to take care of these planets like within rapid succession. So like in a month of working, they were able to double what he offered in 20 planets. He did get help from Vegeta and them. Like there was a couple of planets that said, we're gonna fight back. And then, you know, he's like, hey, back me up, bro. And Vegeta's like, you can't handle them yourself? Do you want me to die? And then Vegeta's like, very well, Nappa, Raditz, we're going. And that's pretty much how that interaction would happen. So the few planets that they did, we'll just say one just to give you a little action. They proceed to throw good hands. Gohan's taking out most of these people, bro. He's just blasting them, just bam. He's just blowing, throwing blasts and stuff. Weaving. And he's throwing some quality smoke too. He's like, oh yeah. They're throwing blasts and keys and other types of different techniques and stuff. His armor's getting blown off. He's got blood drenching everywhere. He's like, yeah! Everyone's terrified though. They're like, what the fuck is this kid? He is an animal. He's a monster. And they just see like this kid as like the personification of death, right? And so what ended up happening is he just like keeps powering up and just keeps like reveling in it. And then his tail, it just starts convulsing weirdly. And then it stands full at attention. And then his muscle bulks up a little bit. And then all you hear is roar! What is this? I like it. And then he proceeds to just like fuck everyone up on the planet. Just bam, 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 bam. And by the time Vegeta, Nappa, and all of them get there, Gohan's just like on the body of the corpse. What took you so long, Prince? As he has some of the females feeding him like grapes and food and shit. What took you so long, Prince?